Subscribe to the channel for daily videos like this. Backhand index pointing right, wait for God, Jesus Christ motivational speech. Wait for God is not about doing nothing, it is about trusting the right timing while you keep growing. It means you don't rush, you don't panic, and you don't lose faith when things don't happen immediately. The teachings of Jesus Christ remind us that delay is not denial, it is preparation. You may be waiting for answers. You may be waiting for change. You may be waiting for results. And it feels slow. But listen carefully. Backhand index pointing right slow does not mean stopped. My dear friends, many people quit because they don't see quick results. They lose patience. They lose trust. Backhand index pointing right and they walk away too early. Wait for God at a deeper level means patience with purpose. You don't sit idle. You don't give up. Backhand index pointing right, you keep working on yourself. You improve daily. You stay disciplined. You keep moving forward step by step. And this is powerful. Because now, backhand index pointing right, you are not wasting your waiting time. You are preparing yourself. You are becoming stronger. You are building the mindset needed for what is coming. Even when nothing seems to change. Backhand index pointing right, you keep going. At the same time, the message of Jesus Christ reminds you that timing matters. Backhand index pointing right, what comes at the right time lasts longer and feels right. So don't rush. Don't lose hope. Stay patient. Because when you truly live, wait for God. You don't get frustrated by delay. You grow in patience, strength, and faith, moving forward with trust, knowing that what is meant for you will come at the right time and in the right way. Backhand index pointing right, wait for God, Jesus Christ motivational speech, Part 2. As you go deeper into this message, you begin to understand something even more powerful. Wait for God is not just about patience, it is about trust when nothing makes sense. The teachings of Jesus Christ remind us that faith is strongest when results are not yet visible. You may feel confused. You may not see any progress. But still, backhand index pointing right, you choose to trust. My dear friends, this is where real faith is tested. When everything is clear, trust is easy. But when things are uncertain, backhand index pointing right, that is where true belief begins. Wait for God at this stage means you don't need full clarity to continue. You don't need to know every answer. You don't need instant proof. Backhand index pointing right, you stay steady anyway. And this is powerful. Because now, backhand index pointing right, you are not controlled by doubt. You don't panic when things are unclear. You don't lose direction because of delay. Backhand index pointing right, you remain calm. Even when you don't understand the situation. Backhand index pointing right, you keep moving forward. At the same time, the message of Jesus Christ reminds you that trust removes fear. Backhand index pointing right, when you trust deeply, uncertainty loses its power over you. So stay patient. Stay calm. Stay focused. Because when you truly understand, wait for God. You don't get lost in confusion or doubt. You move forward with trust, patience, and inner strength, knowing that even when the path is not clear, you are still moving in the right direction. Backhand index pointing right, wait for God, Jesus Christ motivational speech, Part 3. As you continue, you begin to realize something even deeper. Wait for God is not just about trusting, it is about being prepared for what you're asking for. The teachings of Jesus Christ remind us that sometimes the delay is not because it's not coming. Backhand index pointing right, it's because you are still becoming ready for it. You may be praying for success. You may be asking for change. But now, backhand index pointing right, you start working on yourself. My dear friends, many people want results without preparation. They want growth. But they avoid discipline. Backhand index pointing right, and that slows everything down. Wait for God at this stage means self-development during the waiting period. You improve your mindset. You build your habits. You strengthen your discipline. Backhand index pointing right, you become ready. And this is powerful. Because now, backhand index pointing right, when the opportunity comes, you can handle it. You don't feel unprepared. You don't feel overwhelmed. Backhand index pointing right, you are confident. Even while waiting. Backhand index pointing right, you are growing. At the same time, the message of Jesus Christ reminds you that preparation creates success. Backhand index pointing right, what you become determines what you receive. So don't waste your waiting time. Don't stay idle. Work on yourself. Because when you truly live, wait for God. You don't just wait for change. You prepare for it, growing stronger, wiser, and more disciplined, so that when your moment arrives, you are fully ready to step into it with confidence. Backhand index pointing right, Wait for God, Jesus Christ Motivational Speech, Part 4. As you go deeper into this journey, you discover something even more powerful. Wait for God becomes peace in the waiting. The teachings of Jesus Christ remind us that waiting does not have to feel stressful, it can become a time of calm and confidence. You may still be waiting. You may still not see results. But now, backhand index pointing right, you are not restless anymore. My dear friends, this is where inner peace begins. You stop checking for results every moment. You stop worrying about when it will happen. Instead, backhand index pointing right, you stay calm and focused. Wait for God at this stage means emotional stability. You don't feel anxious in delay. You don't lose hope in silence. Backhand index pointing right, you stay balanced. And this is powerful. Because now, backhand index pointing right, your mind becomes peaceful. You trust the timing. You trust your journey. You trust your growth. Even when things are not visible. Backhand index pointing right, you don't feel disturbed. At the same time, the message of Jesus Christ reminds you that peace comes from trust. Backhand index pointing right, when you stop forcing things, calmness takes over. So stay patient. Stay relaxed. Stay focused. Because when you truly live, wait for God. You don't feel pressure in waiting. You feel peace, confidence, and stability, moving forward calmly, knowing that everything will happen at the right time without forcing or fear.